What's going on today, Internet? Selfish here with Retrospect. There has been a slew of Game Boy Advance SP clones lately, and now we have yet another one, a new contender into the ring, the RS-16, coming in this white with orange accent colors. But what we're here to find out is how this stands up against the other Game Boy Advance SP clones that have come out here recently. How's that price and performance going to be? That's what we're here to find out. Let's take a look. All right, we're going to start off with a quick unboxing here for you. And here is the packaging for the RS-16. It actually looks pretty nice for a company that we have never heard of or seen before. And I don't believe it says on here the company either. It does give you the specs on the back. We're going to go over those here in just a second, so not a big deal. It is a foldable. Okay, so pretty much the same stuff you see in every R36 device. I don't want to say this is an R36 clone because it's really not. It is using the same SoC with that 3326, but we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on here. Okay, let's get her opened up. Boom. And there she is. We'll take this out of here and we'll set it off to the side. So it does come with a bag or case or whatever you want to call it. I know they'll call this a, I don't know what they'll call this. Usually when I get a case, they call it a bag. So it does have a little thing though to slip it in, which is nice. Keep it from getting all scratched up. As expected, we do have a USB to A to USB-C cable. And then we do have an origami accordion. I was going to say, if there's no English on here, it wasn't meant to be sold out of China, but it looks like we do have English on here. So good to go. We may need to read through this here, depending on how things go here. I see that we did not receive a memory card, which is interesting. So we'll take a look at that here in just a minute as well. We got the device here all unboxed. We'll get rid of this stuff here quick. And here is the device. It does look really nice. It does have plastic over this stuff too, it looks like. I don't know if we need to pull this off, but see if I can even get it with my fingernail here. Look at that. Let's see how it sounds. Ooh, that was kind of satisfying. If nothing else, we had a satisfying pull there. It looks like they're on the other things too. I'll pull those off here in a minute. And with that said, starting with the I/O, we will go through it here real quick. On the top, like we always are, we do have right and left shoulder buttons, R1, R2. They're hard to push and they're very shallow. Interesting. That's a choice. It's interesting. Okay. On the left-hand side over here, we do have power. We do have a reset button, and we do have a place for a memory card, which we do not have one for. If you know Linux devices, they don't start without a memory card. I did some homework. I think we can sort of figure it out, so we'll kind of go from there. We do, on the right-hand side, have volume up and down. On the bottom down here, we do have a USB-C cable that does do OTG, but it does not do OTG out, so it would be just like a controller could plug into there. You also do have a 3.5 hole right there for your headphones. On the inside here, we do have a 3.5-inch IPS display. We do have our joysticks down here. They do click, which is kind of surprising. We do have start, select, and function right here. Very clicky. And then we do have our face button and D-pad. And they have a little bit of pivot. D-pad has a bit of pivot to it, but not a ton. And these face buttons do pretty good. They bounce back relatively quickly, and they don't go underneath the shell or anything like that. In fact, they stick up a little ways, which makes it kind of easier to push. Some of these SP style devices we've gotten recently have had really flat buttons. These are not those, but they are pretty small, it looks like. So we got that going for us. And last but not least, we do have a front firing single cavity speaker right in the middle, so it goes right into your ear holes. Exactly where we want that. Now, when it comes to the specs on here, I won't be able to put a video up here for you yet because we don't have a memory card, but I can go through them for you real quick. It does come with Linux, and it is a version or custom version of ArkOS that is supposed to be on this device on the non-existent memory card. Again, 3.5-inch IPS display, 640 by 480, 4.3, just like pretty much every handheld on the market that is a 3.5-inch-ish display. It is rocking the RK3326, which seems to just be the SoC that's just getting used on all these budget handhelds these days. Its GPU is a Mali-G31 MP2. It does have 1 gig of RAM and 16 gigs of onboard storage, and they said you can put up to 128 gig memory card in there. If it's running ArkOS, you should at least be able to put a 512 in there. These sticks, they call them double 3D linear. I don't know what that means. They are switch sticks, is what they are. They're just regular old switch sticks. The buttons here are running on capacitive rubber. The hinge is a metal alloy bearing, which is good to know because we have had hinge issues with some handhelds as of recent that are in this SP design. This one they're calling a metal alloy bearing. Hopefully that means that it's going to hold up better than some of the other ones have. All the buttons on here are independent, so they're not stuck. Sometimes when you get some of these more budget handhelds that are all kind of like glued together or like on one piece and they just kind of pivot, these are all individual buttons on here. It is Wi-Fi supported, though through the OTG port. You can't do Wi-Fi off of the device itself. It does have that, again, that single cavity speaker, the OTG port, 3.5, and it does have RGB lighting around the sticks, which is pretty neat. It does have a 3,000 milliamp battery, and again, I think it can do SD up to 512, so It definitely can if it's on ArkOS, so we'll be good there. Now that we got all the learning abouts out of the way for this bad boy, I am here to disappoint. So I did find a version of ArkOS that probably should work on here. If nothing else, it should get the screen to light up. It does not work. And I went through a deal where I actually just tore this entire thing apart to try to get it to work. I found that the cable going to the display is pretty crimped, so it definitely could be a problem with that. Also could be an issue with the battery, though I am getting power on here, and I can see through this tiny little hole right here. When it is powering up, you can see there's a little red light that turns on in there. I also tested it with the whole shell off, and it does actually, is taking power, which leads me to believe there's something wrong with the screen. Another reviewer by the name of Dead Fred, if you don't know him, you should watch his videos, especially if you like to look at some of these more e-wasty handhelds that I show every once in a while. He does all of them. And he recently looked at this device, and he also had gotten his with the battery not plugged in correctly. So that obviously was where I started. I went through, I checked all that. I actually reached out to him. He got his working with a line through the screen. I was not able to get even the line through the screen, but his did come with the SD card, so he did have the correct operating system. These will not start unless you have an operating system that will work with the device and the SoC. Running a card for a 3326, though, should at least get it to blink or something, the screen, because it does go through that process. We are not seeing anything here other than that red light, and it just continuously blinks. I looked it up. I can't find an answer for that red light, so we are unable to review this thing, unfortunately. This thing here is an unfortunate situation, but it is not going to get reviewed. So this is where I would normally do my, should you, your pros and cons, should you buy, should you not. I cannot recommend this handheld. I can't recommend any handheld that I can't review to begin with. Definitely can't recommend this one because I can't get it going and other reviewers have had issues with it. Now, if you want to roll the dice like I did and try to get one that works, by all means. And if you get one that works, let me know down in the comment section down below because I would like to know how this thing works and performs and some other things. Like I noticed there's no lock on the screen. So like usually you have lock points on the screen. And also this is the closest as far as build quality is to the Powkiddy V90S here. But you see how you have a lock point to your screen here where it's going to have a little bit of an angle. This does not even have that. There is no lock point. So there's really, it's kind of a weird angle. I feel like it would be weird to play on when it's angling backward actually. But again, I don't know because I have been unable to play on it. So if you want to risk it and take the gamble and do it, I might actually order another one. I've been debating it. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll order another one and maybe between the two of them I get one to work. I have no idea. But as far as this review goes, I cannot recommend, and that is going to be the end of this review. Sorry it's not more exciting like it normally is, but the excitement's all in it not working at all, unfortunately. But that's all I got for you today. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, share this video with your friends because sharing is caring. It also helps grow the channel, and it also may prevent them from buying this RS-16, which is all over AliExpress and sites like that right now. It is like the headlining device because it's cheap and it's an SP style device. So people are really trying to get in on this thing, but I think we're 2 for 2 as far as reviewers go, at least within my circle, that have not been able to get this thing to work or work correctly. It definitely came not working at all for both of us. So I can't recommend it, but I would also share this video with your friends so that they know not to get it themselves. And then after you share it, watch one of these videos up here on the screen. YouTube says you're gonna like them. But that's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.